Hey y'all, it's Wendy from Village Card and Craft. The goal of my channel is to help you be inspired by the things that you love. And for me, it's usually all things Disney. And today is no exception because I found inspiration for my stack of birthday cards in, of all things, a Christmas ornament. Let's get crafting. This is one of my favorite ornaments. It's super bright and cheerful, and who doesn't love Figment? And I have a Memento stamp that is perfect for this project. I lined up a piece of cardstock, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, onto my stamping platform, and I'm giving my background stamp a thorough coating of VERSAFINE ONYX Black pigment ink. Now this is my favorite ink of choice for those details, and there are so many lines on this background, I want to make sure it's crisp. I've prepped my cardstock with an anti-static powder bag, and that will allow my embossing to be crisp and clean as well. Now my pressure tool is literally a dry erase board eraser. I didn't spend a lot of money on it, and it does the job that I need it to do. So you don't have to have all the fancy schmancy tools to get the job done. I do go ahead and ink this up a second time, and you'll notice that there were some spots that I really had to rub over. And the reason for that is because I completely forgot that I just got some removable adhesive and I had tape under this. So it'll work either way, and I'm going to be covering up the center, so it really didn't matter too much to me. If you find this video helpful or enjoyable in any way, please give me some pixie dust by giving me a thumbs up, subscribing, and ringing that notification bell. Working over a piece of scrap copy paper, I am just giving my background a good coating of embossing powder. This one is clear and it is from Ranger. Tap off that excess and funnel it right back into your jar. I'm giving my WOW heat gun a serious heating up because we want it to be on level 2, which is the option for melting. Option 1 is for drying. Option 2 is for melting. So I let that get really hot, and then I go ahead and melt that embossing powder. You may notice that I tend to hold my cardstock up and away from my work surface. And the reason for that is that the heat from the heat embossing gun will go straight through the paper. So you usually get less warping that way. I'm going to let my background just cool off for a second, and I'm going to go ahead and work on my Tim Holtz replacement silicone mat for the glass mats. It's kind of a really perfect size. Referring back to the ornament, you'll see that there are some horizontal stripes. Now, to achieve that, I'm going to use some scrapbook.com mint tape. Now, guys, this is the best low-tack tape I've come across. It's affordable, and it really holds up well under the pressure of the Oxide inks that I'm going to be using. Although I didn't measure, I'm just using the horizontal lines in the pattern of the background stamp as my guide. I'm pulling out my Figment ornament, so I have a point of reference, and I've selected Distress Oxide ink in Picked Raspberry as my first stripe. So what makes this a masked inked technique? Well, I'm not going to be blending my inks together because I want those super clear lines that are distinct in the ornament to reflect in my card. For my second stripe, I'm going to use Wilted Violet Distress Oxide ink. Now, I'm going to move my mint tape and flip it around so I don't contaminate the next stripe with the first color. A quick cleanup of my work surface, and I'm going to use the #1 setting on my WOW heat embossing gun. Remember, that's the drying setting. I want to dry that pink ink so that my tape will stick. Cover up my first line so I have a clear, defined area that I want to add my purple ink to. Peel up both sides of your mint tape and go ahead and use your heat gun to dry that ink as well. You'll need to do this for each section that you mask off. Now, remember that your tape may still have wet ink on it, so you can either give it a rub with a paper towel or a microfiber cloth, or just let it dry naturally. My third stripe is going to be done in spiced marmalade. We're going to continue on the same process and get through the last stripe, and then we're going to repeat it. So I am going to speed up the video a little bit more and get this background done. This color I'm using is Squeeze Lemonade, and that's going to bring out all of those other colors and really make this card pop. I'm going to finish off my background by following the same order of stripes. The next one's going to be pink picked raspberry, wilted violet, spiced marmalade, and remember, you have to dry the ink between each stripe. Now that my background's complete, I've selected an image, which obviously isn't Figment, but I'm going to get the feel of Figment. And I'm using a woodware stamp. Now this one's called Mini Scented Bloom. It was a great price point when I purchased it, and it's easy to fussy cut. I am not a fan of fussy cutting, so anything that's super easy, I'm generally okay with. My cardstock is being held down with a couple pieces of that mint tape, and I am going back to using my VERSAFINE ONYX black ink along with the clear embossing powder. One of the nice things about the VERSAFINE pigment ink is it does stay wet just a little longer, so I have plenty of time to stamp my image down more than one time and only have to use my clear embossing powder once. It's time to heat emboss my floral images with my clear embossing powder and my Wow gun set at 2, because remember, 2 is for melting. Truth be told, I'm a klutz, so that's why I choose to heat emboss my black images. I want to make sure that I don't have any opportunities to smear what I have already worked so hard on doing, and I can use any type of coloring that I want. In this case, I chose to use Distress Oxides, but you could use alcohol inks or watercolor. Whatever you like works here. Since I'm channeling Figment, I chose to use saltwater taffy for the inside of my flowers and shaded lilac for the outside, and I'm going to color them in with nothing more than a finger dauber. Since I'm not a real fan of fussy cutting and sometimes the edges don't come out as smoothly as I'd like, I go ahead and use an alcohol marker to just clean up the edges of the paper so it's less visible. And it's time to put our card together. Once those images are colored in and cut out, I'm going to go ahead and trim down my background image with my Fiskars paper trimmer. Now, this is probably my 4th or 5th paper trimmer. I have found that this one is my favorite, and it's lightweight, it's portable, and it's easy to get the blade refills, and they're not terribly expensive. I just want a white border on my card, so I'm cutting it down probably 1/8 of an inch on each side. I don't really know because once again, I'm not really fond of measuring and cutting and all that other jazz. So just cut it down into whatever width you like for the white part of your card. I'm using an adhesive tape runner to adhere my card panel down to my card base. And I am using Michael's Brand Recollection cardstock in 65-pound weight. If you recall at the beginning of my video, I told you I needed some birthday cards. So I've selected the Happy Birthday Sentiment from scrapbook.com, and this one's called Handmade Essentials. And I'm going to stamp that out with Hero Art's Unicorn White Pigment ink onto black cardstock. Now, I found that the key to super white stamped images is to start with the base of white pigment ink and then cover that with white embossing powder. It works great every single time. I'll generally stamp something out twice just to make sure that I get the best of both images, and if it happens to come out great both times, well, then I've got an extra image for another card later. I need to place my floral images in the center of my card, which I'm going to offset them, and I'm going to adhere the top one down with my adhesive tape runner and the second one down with some foam tape. I remove the release paper from my foam tape with my Spellbinders tool-in-one. I find it's a great little tool for all kinds of things. The sentiment is actually two different sentiments that I'm going to stack one on top of the other, and I'm going to adhere them down to the card with some Bearly Arts Precision Craft Glue. Now, just like on the ornament where it said Epcot Forever, I'm going to place my Happy Birthday sentiment down in the lower right-hand side. I hope y'all love this card as much as I did. You can see that I definitely used that ornament for inspiration for this card, and I think it came out phenomenal. I love the bright colors because that's just me. I do make the card in another fashion, same technique, different background stamps and different focal images that I'll share with you at the end. If you're interested in checking out any of the supplies I use, I'll link them in the description below, and you can check them out for yourself, either just to check and see up close what I actually used, or if it's something that you're interested in purchasing, it'll make it rather easy. I am an affiliate for both Amazon and scrapbook.com, so I will list both of those links for you where they both sell them, so you can shop however you like. Again, use whatever you have in your stash. I appreciate any support you give me. This is truly a journey that I am taking that I'm thrilled to share with you all. And I couldn't do that without you all, so thank you. So until next time, I'll see you real soon.